Election of board president.
Floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Ellen Reese.
Second.
Any other nominations? Close nominations.
Motion to close. So moved.
Linda did.
A second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Dentino.
Yes.
Mr. Gagliari.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mrs. Gill.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mrs. Riley.
Yes.
Mrs. Simone.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. Sorry. Sorry. Yes, all right. It's a pleasure to meet you.
I see Mrs. Reed back there. She had helped with this.
She's not the only one. We would all like to hit him with that.
Thank you and welcome and Happy New Year. And at this time, we will open the floor for nomination of board vice president. Are there any nominees?
I nominate Linda Gilch.
I nominate Dominic Gagliardi.
I nominate Mary Jo Dentino.
Can I take myself out of this?
You may. There's two nominations, Mr. Gagliari. You want to accept your nomination?
I know it's a formality, but I'll accept it.
There you go. Accept your
Accept
nomination.
it.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Gagliari was the first.
And Mrs. Gilch is no.
Mrs. Gilch is not, so it's Mr. Gagliari. It's the
Okay.
first roll call, and Mrs. Dentino.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, then,
Motion to close.
okay, may I have a motion to close?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Gilch. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Johnson. We need a roll call
For Mr. Gagliari.
for Mr. Gagliardi, please.
Mrs. Dentino.
For Mr. Gagliari.
Mr. Gagliardi?
No.
Mr. Gagliari.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
No.
Mrs. Gilch. Mrs. Jackson.
No.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
No.
Mrs. Riley.
No.
Mrs. Simone.
No.
All right, motion fails. Go to Mrs.
Mm-hmm.
We need a roll call vote, please, on Mary Jo Dentino.
Mrs. Dentino.
Yes.
Mr. Gagliari.
No.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch.
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
No.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mrs. Riley.
Yes.
Mrs. Simone.
Yes.
Motion carries.
You want to put one more about the children?
Okay, at this time, we need to fill several appointments that the board normally fills on an annual basis. The first one is for delegate to the New Jersey School Boards Assembly. I've been the delegate for many years. I can explain to you what it entails is 2 meetings, one in the fall and one in the spring, where you meet with delegates, one from each board across the state, and you are actually setting the policies that New Jersey School Boards is governed by, and they take forward into training. It is always on a Saturday, so you are traveling, on your own time, 5 hours maybe. It's about an hour ride, and you're there about 4 hours, so maybe 5, 6 hours. Is there anyone that would have any interest in doing that? And usually we do, it's not in here, but usually we do have a alternate. If no one is interested, I will continue, but if anyone is interested.
So we would need a motion.
I'll make a motion that Ellen Reese continue to be the delegate for New Jersey School Boards.
We do need a second. Seconded by Mr. Gallo. Okay, there's no questions, so then we would need a roll call, please.
Mrs. Stantino?
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Riley?
Yes.
Mrs. Simone?
Yes.
Okay, the second assignment is a delegate to the Camden County School Boards Association as an executive committee member. And basically what that entails is there's county meetings maybe every 6 or 7 weeks, and it would be the person that would always try to make it, even though they are open to all board members. Is there anyone interested? They're usually on Tuesday evenings.
And our current one's in the background.
Right, and our current executive committee member is now a guest in our audience today, Mrs. Reed. So is there anyone that would be interested in that? The meetings are held locally, so the travel is not far. And they're usually within Camden County area. Is there anyone that would be interested in that commitment? If so, we need a motion, but first we need a name.
I'll make a motion to nominate Mark. Mr. Gallo.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Gilt, Mrs. Gilt, excuse me, to nominate Mr. Gallo. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Stantino. May we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Stantino?
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi?
No.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
No.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Riley?
Yes.
Mrs. Simone?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. The third assignment that we need is a motion to appoint someone for Camden County Educational Services Commission member, and that entails
Wednesday
what-
nights.
is it one Wednesday a month,
Yeah,
the first
usually.
Wednesday of the month.
I have
And
been doing it, so I would like to continue to do it.
I nominate
Also
Mrs.
on their
Gill.
executive board?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there anyone else that's interested? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Gallo to insert Mrs. Gilch as the Camden County Ed Services Commission member. May we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Stantino. May we have a roll call?
Mrs. Stantino?
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Riley?
Yes.
Mrs. Simone?
Yes.
The motion carries. Okay, at this time, we need a motion for the board to adopt all the policies, action, rules, and regulations that have been adopted by prior boards until they would be reaffirmed and adopted until they're reviewed and or changed. Is there anyone that would like to make that motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Stantino.
Second.
We have a second by Mrs. Gilch. Are there any questions? Okay, may we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Stantino?
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Riley?
Yes.
Mrs. Simone?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, the board needs to have a motion to acknowledge that we have received, read, and signed the Code of Ethics that governs New Jersey School Board members. and they are being handed out now.
They're gonna acknowledge that they've had them before they do that. That's great.
The first page is the page that we'll have to sign and date upon acknowledgement of reading them. Last year, I think we read them all silently. This year, if you don't mind, maybe we could just go around the room and each read, take one in order. So I don't, do you mind, don't you? Debbie, just read number 1, please, so we're all hearing them.
I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
I will make decisions in terms of educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
I will confine my board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and I will help frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run.
I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action which may compromise the board.
I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups or to use the school for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. But in all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its schools.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties.
And I'll take the last one. I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on such complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. I think then we're all well versed. We're free to sign our paper, date it, and hand it back to Mrs. Ridgway at the end of the night. May we have a motion to approve the acknowledgement of the Code of Ethics?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Gilch. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Johnson. May we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Tantina.
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi.
Yes.
Mr. Gala.
Yes.
Mrs. Gill.
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mrs. Riley.
Yes.
Mrs. Simone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any new business? No? No new business. At this time, we'll move on to public comments. Since many of you may be new in the audience, the board has passed new policy on public comments the end of last year. So if you don't mind, I'll just review that prior to opening the floor to you. Each session will be limited to 30 minutes unless the board passes a resolution to extend for non-repetitive comments. Each statement will be limited to a 3-minute duration. No one can speak more than once on the same subject until we've gone all around the room and everyone else has been heard. There will be no yielding of time. All statements should be directed to the board president, and members of the board may or may not respond until there's been a completion of all your speaker presentations. That way we're not back and forth in dialogue trying to take up your time. So having said that, this is a chance for public comments. It does not need to be an agenda item.
And there also
And-
is session.
Right, that we're going to have a special session, so there'll be a second portion. So is there anyone that would like to speak to the board at this time? Okay, then we'll,
Okay, I
See.
will, since no one else wants to.
yes.
My question is for Mr. Long.
Can you state your name?
Oh, sorry,
Address,
Jenna,
please?
I just assumed.
You know, Jen O'Donnell, Ariel. Mr. Long, can you tell me what authority the School Board Association has in the state of New Jersey, with the state of New Jersey?
You mean the New Jersey School Boards Association?
Yes.
In terms of legal authority?
Yes.
None.
Thank you.
Advisory, it has board, but legal?
That's cool. None. So what they say doesn't really count.
I wouldn't say it doesn't count.
The
but
state rules.
Does it have any?
State rules supersede the School Board Association. Am I correct?
They usually interpret the state rules.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there anyone else with a question at this time? No? If not, then
Yeah,
we...
you do.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Hi,
Yeah.
Sam Sweet from Ariel. Where are we on, I know I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit on this, but on the follow-up with a meet and greet for next year's elections?
I wasn't working on it at all. Were you?
Still in process.
Still in process.
You're- I know you spoke to Mr.
Yep.
Bilodeau.
I'm just
Okay.
following up, wanted to know how long the process it is, because I can call the superintendent over at Cherry Hill and probably find out. I have some friends over there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't understand how long of a process that could take.
Okay, thank
Still
you.
in process.
Well, since we're beating dead horses.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Then we can return back to
Um,
O'Donnell.
Jen O'Donnell, Ariel. Where are we with the fact that Mr. Pierce stood up there, got sworn in the way these ladies did tonight, and then proceeded to fail his background check? Well, let me start with, are the ladies' background checks in?
Can we get all your questions?
Okay, are their background checks in? And where are we with Mr. Pierce?
Mr. Pierce has been reported to the police and prosecutor's office.
Via how?
Mr. Wade, when it happened, was the person who called the prosecutor's office.
So he picked up the phone and called him. There's no correspondence at all whatsoever?
That's correct.
So pretty much didn't happen.
No, it did happen. I was there when it happened. It absolutely did happen.
It's not in writing, it pretty much didn't happen. Don't all complaints usually have to be in writing?
It wasn't making a complaint, it was advising them of the situation.
So, and the school board never chose to make a complaint?
Was there a formal complaint filed by the school board, Mr. Parrish?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
No, but the prosecutor's office is.
Do you know the statute of limitations on that?
I do not off the top of my head.
Could you get that information for me?
I can certainly look it up.
Thanks.
6 years. Your second question, which was your first
Never mind,
question.
Mr. Long. It's 6 years. I just found out.
All three of the ladies that were sworn in tonight have passed their background check.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? Okay, we need a motion to adjourn this meeting. We have a motion by Mrs. Filch. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gallo. All in favor? Okay. The annual reorganization meeting is adjourned. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Notices of this meeting were also forwarded to the Inquirer, the Courier Post, Clerk of the Township, posted on the district website, and sent to the members of the Board of Education. Was posted in the Board of Education office, which is here, 17 Ariel Road, Glenheim, New Jersey. Please note that this meeting may be audio and/or videotaped. Would you all please rise for the flag salute? Flag is behind.
We're supposed to do this between every meeting.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Gentino.
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Here.
Mrs. Welch. Here. Ms. Jackson. Here. Ms. Johnson. Here. Ms. Reese.
Here.
Ms. Riley.
Here.
Mrs. Simone. Here.
At this time, the meeting is reopened for public comment. This time it is for agenda items only.
Mrs. Reese, before we open the floor.
Certainly.
Sure. As many of you know, the district has been directed by the Camden County Prosecutor's Office related to this one agenda item not to comment on the pending criminal matter. Therefore, I'm advising the board members not to comment during this session or during the board member comment section of the board meeting. The district did issue a statement on the day that the charges were announced, and Mr. Bilodeau your office has copies of the statement if anybody wants the statement, and you could leave your name, address, and telephone number with Mrs. Ridgway, and we'll certainly get you a copy of the statement that was issued in response to the recent event.
It's also posted on the district website. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board? If so, raise your hand and state your name. No. Get on your agenda here.
This is the revised agenda.
Re-revised. We're going to move on to 2.0,
We don't get
which
it.
is
We give you note 2 and 4.
report of the superintendent. Mr. Bildo?
Thank you, Mrs. Reese. I would like to congratulate, we'll go backwards a bit, I guess.
They don't care about business.
Congratulate Mrs. Dentino on being vice president, certainly you on being president for a second term, and to our three newest board members. I appreciate you putting your names in, and I don't know who spoke to you, but they must be very creative in what they said to you to volunteer for such a arduous assignment. But in all seriousness, I appreciate your commitment, and if you have any questions, you have some very good board members, Mr. Gagliardi, Mary Ann Johnson, Mrs. Dentino. The people have been here the longest, Mrs. Gilch and Mrs. Mrs. Reed, she will give you the unferreted edition. Mrs. Simone, if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm looking down here for the new ones. Mr. Gallo, well, I'll tell you, it's going to be a promising year, 2016. I look forward to it. And everything else is really just presented in the committee reports this evening.
We need a motion then to move forward.
We need a motion?
We need a motion
On
to move forward on
2.1, correct?
personnel, yes.
Personnel.
May we have a motion, please?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Johnson. May we have a second? Second. We have a second by Mrs. Gilch. Are there any questions on the motion? Now hearing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino.
Yes.
Mr. Gagliardi.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch.
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Reese.
Yes.
Ms. Riley.
Yes.
Ms. Simone.
Yes. I have to abstain. And I would just like to put on the record that regarding myself abstaining from this is because the person in question, we both married into the same family. So I feel it's in the best interest that I don't vote.
So just reflect that in the minutes, and that could be an abstention.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. At this time, the floor is open again for public comment. It does not need to be agenda item, it can be any item. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? I see a lady in the back row with her hand up. Yes, Mrs. Reed, hello and welcome. Happy New Year.
So I have.
Yeah, I know.
You need to say your name and address.
3 minutes, no.
I know, right? Alicia Reed, Blackwood. So I just have a couple of things. First of all, congratulations to the new board members. I did get to congratulate them individually beforehand, but now that you're official, welcome and congratulations. I'm sure you all will do a fantastic job. I can't wait to see from this side. Congratulations to Mrs. Reese for being president again, and definitely, I think the best choice. And congratulations to Mary Jo Dentino, who has really jumped right in, and I'm sure she's going to do a fantastic job as well. The other matter, and I wish the board so much success in all your endeavors going into 2016. I really, really do. The other thing that I wanted to, a couple of things I wanted to mention, and it has to do with, I guess, the meeting setup and the procedure. There's two things. I would like to suggest that the board consider using microphones at the meetings. It was hard to hear when I was sitting on that side. It is really difficult to hear sometimes back here. Along with that, I'd also like to suggest guidelines for audio taping and videotaping of the meetings. For the most part, we've had private citizens taping meetings, we sometimes have media outlets taping our meetings, and most of the time, everybody is in the back, but that's not always the case. I do think that you might want to consider making up your minds how you want those guidelines to be moving forward in the future in case there are occurrences where you do end up with a room full of different media outlets, which we have had in the past before. So whether you dictate it by amount of feet or just the last 2 rows or whatever, I think it would be less disruptive, less distractions, and then even safer, as sometimes we have children here or at the schools going back and forth, the courts and everything are all kind of centralized. So those are just 2 items or 2 options that I think that the board, I would suggest that the board give some consideration to and come up with some guidelines on. One, the microphones, so you can, actually be heard no matter what building you're in or what LMC you are in, and even in this room as well, when air conditioner or heater or whatever comes on, and then also where you're going to position. Obviously, anyone has the right to videotape and audio tape the meetings, but where there's the guidelines on where those people would be positioned, so it can just be uniform.
Okay, good, Mrs. Reed.
Wow.
I had no doubt she was gonna hit the 3 minutes thing.
Thank you. Those are all things that I'm sure with 3 new people on board that we will be discussing. So thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time?
I would just like to say welcome to our 3 new board members. I look forward to working with you. I hope we're all here for the best interest of the children in the district, and hope we can move forward and work well together.
Welcome, new board members, and congratulations, Ellen, for another year as president. Well deserved. Congratulations to Mary Jo, the big vice president.
Any other board member comments? No? Well, I would also like to congratulate and welcome the 3 new ladies, and I'd like to thank everyone that has currently is reseated at this table for all the good that they brought and all the good that we will move forward with this year. So having said that, we need a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Mrs. Gilch. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Gallo. All in favor? Okay. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming in.